half jogging.
Yeah. Well, actually, Toby is surprisingly fast.
He's known in circles as the Juggernaut.
Yeah, well, he likes to call himself that at least.
Tasted or something. Yeah.
So they were racing, Toby won, and I wanted Bruno to get his revenge right, so I told him to race once more because I didn't see the first one and I just wanted to have a laugh. And so halfway to the finish line, Bruno just, what can best be described as taking a dive, because he literally just went like this in the air.
When we say dive, what we actually mean is a South American football team kind of dive, right?
On pavement.
Yeah, on concrete. On concrete.
I'm surprisingly sturdy.
You definitely bounced. It was a very hard hit.
Yeah, I left a skin mark.
You did, yes. Some of your shirt was still in the concrete.
I think my chest hair saved my life.
Right.
Bruno's reasoning for then being as elegant as he was that he wanted to save face for the for the panel. He didn't want his face to get hurt.
When I went to pick, I was like, are you okay here? You all right? Because it looked pretty horrendous, right? I picked him up and he's like, all I could think about in the final second before I landed was avoid the face.
The moneymaker.
Yeah.
So that's the true story. No bears, no invokers, no fights with Dendy, no hairstyling, nothing. That's how the hand got ruined. I think he was trying to do an impression of Michael Jackson at one point, but we couldn't find the right one either.
Yeah.
So enough of the nonsense right now. We're going into the serious business of the draft for game one.
There's one thing I'd like to mention about what Mark said earlier about Dandy. When you think about it, one thing that had him forced to change is the bottle crow mid. He was the kind of player to actually he could dominate a 1-versus-1 and win the game for his team, you know, just by the skill he has. But the problem is that the mid lane is now very even because of the bottle crow usually. So
not only that, if you look at what RTC started creating, and a little bit of Eternal Envy as well, we don't see more of these Queen of Pains. We rarely see pucks mid. We go for this kind of like carry mid player. You just put the carry player on the mid and you just get the silent to be the rotating kind of, not what would be the mid player before. So now what we see PAs and we see Shadow Fiends.
Kind of hard to crush your
Yeah,
opponent.
he kind of doesn't work as well right now in this metagame.
That is true. And I really like the first pick Enigma for EG. It's a hero they use very well, and they usually jungle the hero. I don't think they play it differently, so it's interesting to see that they would first pick that hero.
I think it's kind of a direct challenge to Kuroki's Rubik too. They're not even banning it out, and Kuroki's probably even better known than Chuan for his Rubik play. And going back to the Doom pick too, Doom very, very popular in the Eastern scene, not so much in the Western scene, but still pretty popular. Pretty good versus Doom, very good versus Tidehunter, or sorry, very good versus Enigma, pretty good versus Tide.
When you see Tidehunter and Enigma, and we've seen this from EG a lot as well, this is a really, really hard lineup to play against because you have to be careful of so many things. Cloud9 suffered that during the Dream League. There was this dreaded silencer game, and I mean, granted, the same player said, well, that was not the best game for the silencer player, which was Spylight Die, but at the same time, you have so many things to think about. It's like, well, do I try to stop the Enigma and then the Tidehunter will wreck me? You have to make so many choices, and sometimes you get lost in trying to stop those two, and you forget about the carry that is actually killing your team.
Definitely, and I don't think Doom will be enough to stop their teamfight potential, so Navi might be looking to something else than 5-versus-5 head-to-head teamfights. The Doom is a very good hero for Chovos, in my opinion. He's a very aggressive player by nature. He joins ganks and fights very early on, and he's probably going to get Midas if he's playing safe lane, so he's going to get his farm regardless of what happens, and he might be the tank option for Navi if he decides to get a Pipe or a BKB, a Shiva's Guard pretty fast, so he might be their key for the teamfight. Yeah.
There's a lot of good support picks right now available, and Rubik is actually not banned out, so that would be the most obvious choice. They go for Faceless Void, not really in a hurry. But there's also Lich that can cancel the Black Hole. There's the Disruptor. If he gets an Aghanim Scepter, then that's also going to be at least the bane of Enigma's existence, right? So they have several outs.
You know what Zai's record with Enigma is in this patch?
No.
9-1. You know what Universe record with Tidehunter is this patch? 8-0.
So Navi,
Navi
has to some big plays.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I actually personally don't like much the Faceless Void into a Tidehunter Enigma pick, mostly the Tidehunter, because it feels like if you, until you have the BKB, which is going to be a very late item in a Faceless Void, you want to avoid the item. If you don't catch the Tidehunter, there's a possibility for reset and your Black Chronosphere feels kind of wasted.
That's true, but on the other hand, we saw yesterday, although IG lost that game to Mouse because Mouse was just playing out of their minds, right? Their last hope was actually Void going on territory. It looked like at one point they could win the fight thanks to that. So maybe that's Navi's plan. Like one of the best ways, he can't evade the disabling, the disabling from the Chronosphere.
You can out Kraken shell out of
I
it.
gotta ask you, how are they laning this?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. You talked about Doom being played by Havos.
No, this is a Kuroki Doom.
Yeah,
Kuroki
probably
Jungle Doom.
And what
Jungle
what's-
Doom?
Yeah, Jungle Doom Kuroki.
Then he also plays Prophet on the mid lane. It
Yeah,
happens.
that's also true.
Here we see the
happens.
Disruptor. Navi is definitely going for the long game here.
Yeah.
I think Navi has a great way of dealing with the EG team fight, to be honest. And the Storm Spirit is very interesting. So he got Storm Spirit versus one of two best heroes against him, like the Void,
The Doom.
and actually
And the
even the
Disruptor as well.
Disruptor.
Yeah.
So that's a very, very risky pick for EG. I'm looking forward to see how they're going to use
What's
that.
then you
Storm
going to
Spirit.
play?
Yeah, I would bet on Prophet. If it's not it could be a Prophet Wood, it could be a Prophet mid or offlane. Navi can play anything. That's
What about something like Invoker for Dendi? Is that still an option for them?
could be good.
I'm normally a big fan of a Furion mid, just because of how much it opens up the map for you, and he gets that fast level, he can push down towers easily, he can gank the side lanes easily, but Navi doesn't have a lineup that can support that.
When you think about it, if they run a Prophet Woods or a solo mid that can kill the Storm Spirit easily, I mean, with the help of the Prophet, Storm Spirit is a very easy kill in the early game, so they could destroy that Storm Spirit. And there's something to say about Navi, and especially Puppy. He usually focuses a lot on the mid.
I don't think Storm's going to be mid.
lane.
RTZ doesn't play Storm.
I'm completely
It's a
agree with you.
Mason
To me, it's a
Storm.
safe Mason Storm. In that case,
And
you
what
still
would they
have
run mid in that case?
Razor.
mid.
Yeah.
All right.
Razor. That's pretty well. Against Nature's Prophet, he doesn't really care much.
The team fight from EG is very scary.
It is.
So Navi is looking for.
But this is what we were talking about earlier. We have no idea what Navi's going to go for.
No. But this is really good for them. It's really hard to draft.
I really
such
like the
situation.
fact that, I mean, the Doom seems kind of not pointless right now, but he has so many targets to choose from. There's so many interesting things that he has to stop that one Doom is not going to be enough.
That is true.
I only think he really has to worry about two targets: the Storm Spirit and the Enigma.
I would say not even Storm Spirit. Disruptor can handle Storm pretty easily.
Yeah.
Unless he
True
jumps
enough.
on Disruptor.
Navi can win the lane.
But if he
though.
jumps on Disruptor, it's kind of like a victory because he's not jumping on someone else.
Imagine if Navi just goes for another support now and puts the Fury on middle lane, either the Void or the Doom going off lane.
I like this a lot.
I think that
actually.
would work really well.
No, there's the Invoker.
So a really run-intensive lineup from Navi.
Greedy.
Okay, let's find out whether it's greedy or not with your commentary team for game one of the day. It's our fourth and final quarterfinal with Synderen and Toby 1.
Thank you very much, Paul. We are here for Navi versus EG. I'm Toby 1, joined by Synderen. And man, we're going to have one hell of a best of 3 coming our way.
Yeah, just already from the draft here. Of course, this is, I don't know if we should call it a historic matchup. Like Bruno pointed out, these teams have faced off a lot of times in the past. Not necessarily the players themselves, but the organizations. EG and Navi have a history across many games for playing a lot of very important matches because they are two of the biggest esports organizations in the world. This kind of matchup is one that even people who don't watch that much Dota can probably relate to being a fan of either team from maybe some other game like Counter-Strike or maybe League of Legends or something like that. So even though I don't think Navi has a team there right now, but I could be wrong. Anyway, it is of course Dota 2 we're looking at right now, as we actually do have a pause right away with a disconnect from Funix. So I think it's going to take a little while before we get into the game. So let's talk a little bit about our impressions of the draft. What do you think?
Straight away, man, like I know I was talking to you before when we saw the first 2 pickups coming from EG, and I was talking about this here on like day 1 during the mouse game, and I'm like, where is the Enigma Tide combo? Where is the full team fight thing where I was expecting it for this competition? Where you have like this huge amount of control which no one really wants to go into, and as this tag teaming big AoE control abilities which just let you dictate the terms of the match. That's what I was expecting to see coming out in this tournament. EG with their first 2 pickups with that Enigma as well as the Tide, it's like they're just making a statement straight away saying, we will control you, we will win this game. And then they had the Wraith King, which we saw also being played by Alliance yesterday. It's a wonderful soaking up hero. You then have Razor as well as Storm Spirit. We've got good initiation, we've got good control, and we've got late game tower pushing as well coming out with obviously like the refresher Aghanims. If you can get to that on the Razor, you're able to burst through the Raxus. I'm loving that from EG, but Navi also have a lot of things working against the EG lineup.
They have one of the favorite combos, I guess you could say. Navi is one of the teams that across the entirety of Dota 2, I think, have played some of the most Invoker. I think Dendi is very famous for that hero, of course, and the amount of combinations that Navi have tried to play that hero in, I think they've tried so many different ways of running that Invoker. And in this game, I think it was a good last pick because they have the setup Chronosphere, they have the kinetic field from the Disruptor and a lot of other teamfight presence, and they know going into the teamfights against this EG lineup, which will inevitably happen, they need enough AoE damage to actually take down these heroes. So what Navi are aiming for is, I would be shocked if this is not a Quasi-Exort Invoker, because they need the damage from him in this game. And
would you still want to do that though, when you have like heroes like Wraith King as well as Storm Spirit controlling their mana level? Wouldn't you fly that up a little bit higher? Or are you just thinking one charges will save them?
The EMP would be really good against Wraith King, that's true. But I think the reasoning here, or the reason why I would think Quasi-Exort is better is, first of all, I think he could put more pressure in the lane in this particular game.
That's true.
And secondly, they want ideally to get the Chronosphere on heroes like Tide and Enigma, and they want to kill them during the Chrono. And we know when Dendi plays this Quasi-Exort Invoker and he gets into the mid-game, when he's about level, I don't think, 13, 14-ish, which he gets pretty fast if he gets a Hand of Midas, you will have that massive combo with the Deafening Blast Meteor and a Sunstrike as well. So anywhere the Void finds an initiation with a Chronosphere, I think the Sunstrike will be a huge part of this game, actually.
That's true. And like, even with like the rest of the Navi lineup, like with Glimpse pullback into Void Walk, as well as like having the kinetic field up, you're going to hold someone in position for a very long time. Like, you have to really be dodging inside of that kinetic field. You don't really have a lot of space to move inside of that.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that they need to be really careful with here, though. Navi, of course, as you mentioned, EG has incredible teamfight, and I love to see EG going, they're showing confidence right here, I think. It's not that frequently that we see a team picking Storm into Doom, because they knew Doom was picked by Navi already in the first phase. And they were like, okay, so the way we're going to play this Storm is that we will try to catch out the Doom, so Storm doesn't get doomed, and then they either burst down the Doom or he jumps around a lot. But then Navi, with the Void pickup, with the Disruptor pickup, they actually have quite a few counters to the Storm. But if those abilities are used, this is a game in which I think Storm can kill a lot of targets and give a lot of control for EG. In my book, I am not completely sure why they went for the Razor. I think in many games it's really good for lane control if you're playing against a melee hero, and maybe they want to put him up against the Void in the lane.
Yeah.
But Razor versus Invoker can be good in the start, in the very early laning stage. I'm assuming the Razor goes mid in this game.
Yeah.
But after that, if it's a Quasi-Exort Invoker, when he starts getting up the Forge Spirits, he can. I think he's going to overtake that lane, even against a player like OTZ.
I'm wondering if even Navi, I wouldn't say they dodge, because we know the lanes can switch around. We've seen Invokers even running off lanes recently as well, with the Voids going in towards the mid lane. I know, like we were also saying before, like we're watching a Chinese team, the second that Void comes up, you're like, all right, it's going to be a mid lane solo kind of thing. So both teams actually have options as well about where they can switch their lanes up. Like, do we try and go for a dodge or not? EG, it's only literally the question of where Storm Spirit and Razor end up. For Navi, it's like the question of where Invoker and Void and Doom all like slip into the mix up here too. But we just assume Doom to go inside that jungle because it is being played up by Kuro, our resident German. For Navi, man, a lot of it's going to come down to the early game, and the more and more I think about it, that Exalt build on the Invoker, I'm 100% with you. Like, Dendi has to have influence so early on in this game. He can't just sit back and say, I'll get a Hand of Midas, I'll wait for my supports to come and roam and gank, because you've got a Doombringer as well as a Disruptor. Like, Glimpse is the only thing which could catch someone out of position in the middle lane and get a kill. And on a Storm Spirit, that'll be completely useless. Even on Razor, it's quite good, but Razor's got very high movement speed. And that could actually cause some problems as well. But either way, we're getting into the game finally, so the game has been unpaused, and we have Funnick back in as the Nature's Prophet. So we're good and ready to rock and rumble, peoples. Navi versus EG, game number 1 of day 2 of the ESL One, coming to you live from the Commerzbank Arena here in Frankfurt, Germany.
Now, let me have the honor of introducing Team Evil Geniuses. On the Dire side, it's going to be Universe playing his, I believe, 8-0 Tidehunter. Let's see if he can continue his amazing streak or if it comes to an end here. We've had one streak ended, which was IG being 15-0 with Shadow Shaman, and then they lost game 2 to Mouse. So one streak has been ended. Let's see if EG is well in this game. And we've got PPD playing as the support Wraith King. We've got Zai on Enigma. We've got Arteezy playing as the Razor, and finally Mason will be playing as the Storm Spirit. Give us a round of applause for Team EG.
It's at this point, I think I get to take the easy role here, Cinderin. So running through the lineup here for the boys from Ukraine, Estonia, as well as Russia. We have Navi. It is going to be Horst as the Faceless Void, and we have Puppy taking up the role as the Disruptor. That leaves Dendy on the role as the Invoker. We have Kuro as the Doombringer, and that leaves our last one for the Nature's Prophet. It will be played by their offlaner, Phonic. So, of course, let's just get it. Let's a toe in the water. How many people here are actually cheering for Navi?
The battle begins.
All right, I think that's a clear majority for EG.
Yeah,
what do you say?
I was thinking it was going to be a little bit more balanced, man. Like, I know Navi, like, you basically bleed Navi blood if you're a follower for these guys, but EG does exactly the same thing with their followers. I thought we might have actually had a couple more EG fans here in Germany, but I suppose the German is on the Navi lineup. But either way, we're now into our lanes, so what we do get is Razor. It will be TZ tagged up as Allison. They'll be going up against Dendy in the middle lane, which means we do actually see the safe lane Storm Spirit.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of farm in this game. Nature's Prophet doesn't really have too much lane presence against the Storm Spirit with any sort of support in the top lane, but what I'm really curious about in this game is this reminds me of something Navi used to do, I think almost a year back or maybe more. When enemies were playing greedy, they would just play greedy as well and be like, okay, so you want to run an Enigma jungle, we're going to run Doom jungle. They know that Enigma will be faster, but Doom can definitely have an impact later on, and I think Navi were nervous that if they got 2 roaming lane supports and they didn't win the early game, they would just flat out lose on economy. So they're making sure they can keep up with Kuro in that jungle position with Doom, which is actually played fairly rarely at this point, mainly off lane or safe lane farming, but interesting to see Navi pull out and I don't know, should we call that an old strategy or at least something, yeah, it's been a while since I saw that.
It's something very Kuro-ish, like he loves taking these heroes towards the jungle. I know Navi, you're right, it is kind of like that kind of thing. Like, if you can try and experiment with someone to run the jungle, back in the days, like even Puppy was playing support Storm Spirit inside the jungle, so he was able to do that, running forward first on Storm Spirit. So yeah, they mix up with different things, but as you said before, the Doombringer is very, very efficient as far as economy-wise inside the jungle. Obviously nowhere near as fast as the Enigma. Zion will definitely have that on him, but they're watching to see when Zion's going to come and make some kind of movement. While I didn't actively block up his camps, which is something which we don't actually normally see. You normally think like, hey, level 1 will go in, but Navi probably don't favor the level 1 farming. They just get this one observer ward that's watching for the Enigma and its movement towards Dendy, and that's the primary thing. You've got to know when the supports from EG will rotate down to try and just influence the control of the Invoker in the mid.
Yeah, especially now that that Cold Snap was nerfed. I think was it last version or the one before. It was a pretty significant nerf to Cold Snap, which made Invoker weaker with every single build because no matter what you went for, you would always get Cold Snap. That was like the quintessential skill for Invoker. We're actually going to try to see an initiation here in mid from Navi. There's a prod.
In. They're going to go, and that's going to be Razor. He's trying to go for the Hoofstorm Kuro. They have enough damage from Phonic. They've got first blood underneath the tier 1 tower in the mid. It was at the perfect time as well. PPD grabbed the Invis rune and he was heading north. He was looking for the kill on Phonic, and the fact that Phonic came to join them actually completely screwed up the EG gank on the top lane.
No one expects the level 2 Doom gank.
The funny thing is though, like he brought 2 right clicks in a Scorched Earth, but the Hoof Stomp actually missed.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get close enough, fast enough.
I believe on all levels of Scorched Earth, the damage is actually enough to proc Cold Snap, so because of that, it's actually a decent way of ganking the mid hero, but if Phonic doesn't port in there, that kill doesn't happen. But this is a classic Navi play. They love getting aggressive early on with their offlane Prophet. Other teams focus a lot more on just playing the lane and maybe even going into the jungle a little bit, but if there's one team that loves these early Prophet ganks, I think it's got to be Navi. And it's also a kind of a tradition in Russia and Ukraine for those teams. A player that comes to mind who would always play ridiculously aggressive early on with the Prophet would be PGG. I guess you can remember that. So there's kind of a legacy there.
I remember his DD rune. I remember his DD
Oh my god, that game. Yeah.
The people who don't know what I'm referring to, I'm actually trying to remember the exact game for it, but someone will find the replay and put it in the chat. Either way, the one lane which we haven't really touched on at all is the offlane. The Tidehunter, like we still have to remember that this Tidehunter exists, and the combination with the Enigma, because you have a Tidehunter which can get really, really close up against the Faceless Void, it means you're getting a very quick level 6 over on this Tidehunter with some really decent farm as well, because the Anchor Smash makes it so Void can't really harass him. And Puppy, like Thunderstrike is all he's really got, and that kind of damage up against a Tidehunter is negligible.
Yeah, we're going to see them try to maybe go on Universe here. Puppy's coming in from the back with a level 2 glimpse as well. Will use the Thunderstrike first. Needs to glimpse now if he wants to, but Universe doesn't care. Just going to man-fight him here and force him away.
Universe is so tanky that that Puppy has no chance of battling him like man-to-man like that one. And Havort has no interest in doing this. Until he has Chrono up and running, he won't even consider going in for a gank. And they'll need Prophet Ultimate to also be there for them, because I don't think they have enough damage with just the 2 of them down there. They will need 3 heroes.
And Universe is making the most of this situation. He's a very good offlaner at getting as much out of the lane as possible. If it's a hard lane, he will generally not, you know, he generally doesn't die in his off lanes unless there's a really good reason to. And in this game, he's got 17 CS at a 5-minute mark in the dire off lane in a 1-on-2, which is very unusual. But just the nature of this lane, Disruptor is really not the strongest lane support in the beginning, and the synergy with Void isn't really that good. So because of that, Universe is just making the most of the situation, and he's almost level 6 at 5 minutes, as we're going to see a rotation from EG.
Yeah, they had to start doing something about this. When you look at the hand of Minus recipe over on a Horse 5 minutes into the game, you know you're giving him just a little bit too much space to play with here. Also, Denny's having a little bit of trouble himself on very, very low life, so being harassed out a little bit by Arteezy, and now the smoke will break. So
Puppy.
PPD, he's going to find Puppy, gets the other side of the Fog of War, but Midnight Pulse, just land clearance here, and Puppy, the field will come up with Thunderstrike, but he is so totally dead. Same time, Dendy battling up underneath the tower. Arteezy will actually die to Kuro under the tier 1 tower.
Oh, look at how low he brought those 2 heroes. Arteezy must have been really close to getting a double kill there while we were watching bottom. And actually, EG are they're just setting up a tent down here with 3 heroes guarded by a few blue men, and they're going to go the black hole.
They hold him there. He's just waiting it out. The Hellfire Blast and his backtrack challenges. Ravage will go. Hits on Puppy. They're going to turn this into 2 right now, EG. Puppy, no way out of here. The wall will hold PPD in here, but they just switch the aggro out. So EG able to pick up 2 kills in the bottom lane.
And this is what generally happens in EG's games if you don't counter out Zai in that jungle. He had a level 6 at 5 minutes with his Enigma, and the moment he's level 6, they make a rotation. They secure 3 kills with that rotation as well as a tier 1 tower. So whatever happened in that mid lane is not really that big of a deal. Sure, Arteezy is 0-2, but how many games have we seen this team where the opposite team really counter out Arteezy, but it just makes so much space for the other heroes to the other players to take over the game, and Arteezy gets his comeback later on. He's still got 30 CS after all at 7 minutes, which isn't too bad considering he got ganked twice, and now with that tower going down, I think Arteezy being behind doesn't matter when you've got a level 6 Tide and a level 7, almost 8 Enigma at 7 minutes.
And look at his money coming into this. He's got a full, get him back by 7 minutes into the game. You know you're doing good. With the highest net worth also on the field here for anyone. He's actually beating the Storm Spirit safely. Now, mid lane, the Stone Strike actually connects on PPD. He backed up the Cold Snap. It's actually going to be enough for the Thunder Strike. There goes your Wraith King, and the Glimpse sending him back. So Navi able to get a quick kill here from the Wraith King.
I love seeing Navi's play there with Puppy backing out, as well as Dendy. The Wraith King wasn't actually dead yet, but there was Thunderstrike on him, and they knew that Prophet's ultimate was going to hit him. Actually, speaking of Prophet, he is not going to survive this. Mason gets the kill. Actually, running the is it correct to call that the Eternal Envy build? I think he was the first player I saw running that. The Soul Ring on Storm Spirit actually makes a lot of sense, because the way his ultimate works, it has a base mana cost, and then it's percentage based how much mana it costs. It's out of your entire mana pool. So with the Soul Ring, you actually get a big burst in your mana pool relative to how big it is. So you get that extra bit of jump that he actually used very well here to finish off Funnick, and it's a great counter pick to a Prophet as well.
Man, there's a big push coming up on top lane. A big wave of Enigma conversions, Mason as well, and well, Kuro, he is up here on the top lane. This is a level 6 Doombringer, so this should be taken into account where Storm Spirit can't just jump and be free and merry. He must be careful about getting locked in there, but it doesn't really matter. When you have an army like that, the tier 1 tower will always go down. And they're waiting for an opening here, but nothing really showing up, while Universe continues to battle up against Divorce in this bottom lane. Mr. Hand of Minus, but no real influence just yet. And Dendy also, he's a hero who has managed to find a couple of kills in middle lane, but there's no rotations. The Sunstrike's been here and there, but again, no real early game presence where EG, they're all over the map and they're pressuring Navi on all sides.
And with that pressure, they've already managed to accumulate a 5,000 goal lead. It's actually pretty amazing considering it's 9 minutes in and it's 4-3, but that's the 2 towers as well as just the amazing farm that both Mason and Zai have managed to pick up here. So not looking too good for Navi in the early game. The way they can come back from this, I think, revolves a lot around Puppy getting the level 6 at this point. They have all the other ultimates, which are really strong, but I think the static Storm is going to be really important. It's going to disallow Storm from jumping around. If he catches Tide with it before the Ravage, he obviously has to move out of it. It's not an ability you can just crack and chill off. And also the Enigma, who, by the way, has already got his next item. It took him, oh wow, it took him 2 minutes to get that, really?
This is a really farmed up Enigma, man.
Zai is bringing his A game today, I'll tell you what.
And when you get such an injection of money early on, like you got a free jungle. Most Enigmas we've been watching over the course, like the last 2 weeks, professional Dota, every single part of their jungle is being watered up. It's really difficult to move anywhere. And this is like a major issue for Enigmas. Like, I remember I was watching one game, the Fly was playing for Fnatic, and he had 2 camps available, and all he could do was basically just stack one of them because the other camp was too close to the enemy. And he still was able to farm up. But when you get like a free jungle for Enigma, you move so quickly, get such high money, and also good denial. Taking out that DD Rune in the bottom lane. They are making sure that EG do not have any extra power here.
Yeah, interesting to see. Look at the Wraith King. He's level 6, and he's still not skilling his ultimate, which is very, very unusual. I'm not sure what he's holding onto the point for. This is a good treant here, by the way, by Funnick.
Yep.
What's the logic behind this, of not skilling the ultimate? It's maybe so he has the choice of whether he thinks it's worth... let's say he gets caught out alone, and the ultimate would be useless in that situation. So he just dies and dies again. He chooses to not skill it so that in the situation when he's under the pressure, he can decide whether he actually wants it to go on that 4-minute cooldown. I think that's the reasoning, and if it is, that's really smart. I've never seen that done before, actually, so loving this from PPD. Okay, now he's like, okay, it's time, guys. The situation will be, I'm going to die to Roche. So I'm going to pick it up right now.
The Prophet Ollie is not making this easy for him, but the mech is there from Zai. The medallion's going to be more than enough negative armor. They'll work through Roshan. The downside is it took 4 heroes from EG just to make sure they could ensure this. And in the meantime, you got a Doombringer Devourer at 4 levels up, farming up. You've got Void who's using Hand of Mines, also farming up. This game is not really meant for like, hey, okay, we lost Roshan, the first one went down. That's a nice little advantage here and there. Some tier 1 towers went down here and there too. This game is for the long haul, man. Like, if you're thinking like going out to the parking lot, having a cigarette in like 20 minutes time from now, you're not going to. Save your body and wait until the 60-minute mark. That's how long this game will go for.
I don't think so.
You think it's going to be over quicker than that?
Just the way EG has been playing recently, especially when they get this kind of start, I have this feeling that now that they got Roshan as well, they're going to try to be pressuring their advantage. And if the next fight goes EG's way, I don't think this game will go much longer than 30 minutes. But if Navi get the team they need,
yeah,
then it's going to be a long game. But it's a big but, I think, because, no pun intended, but it's like EG have so many ways of taking the fight that there's a lot of pressure on Navi. I think their team fight combination is harder to pull off. It's more restricted to specific ways of play, whereas EG have more options. So things need to happen in a very specific way for Navi, which they are really good at making them happen in that way, though. But it is still hard, and against a team like EG...
They're going to go top lane. There's your jump in. The prep was there. Zai, he'll have to commit Black Hole if he wanted that kill, and they can't jump in any deeper. Kuro was also waiting up here. Initially, it was meant to be a Kuro as well as a Vorse gank on the top. Turned into EG being the initiators, and Vorse goes all the way back to base to heal up. PPD stunning towards Danny, but the 4-star brings him very much into safety. And with Puppy also with the neighborhood, having that Static Storm as well as Glimpse, actually is dragging PPD back a little bit further. And the wall does come up, but Zai's also rotated towards the middle lane. So the mech has come to mid as well as both Ravage on the back of a Blink Dagger, and of course the Enigma Black Hole. It's all up and running. EG, this could be your fight you're talking about, man. And Navi may just not want to take it. They let it go. Tier 1 towers for them. Okay, fair enough, we understand it, but if they take the fight, they lose so much more. Danny's staying close enough for a denial, but he can't get him. That's too much from EG there.
Yeah, I was considering whether Navi actually wanted to try to take that fight because they knew Mason used his entire mana pool in the attempt to kill Ghost up top, so they must have known that EG were actually playing that one as a 4-on-5, but they're still not confident enough. They know there's a Blink Dagger on Tide, they know they have the Aegis on Arteezy, so there's too much from EG for Navi to fight like this right now. They have to get... let's try to see what do Navi need to do to accomplish a good team fight. They have to get a Chrono off on at least 2 targets. I think one doesn't... It's not enough, even if it's the the best possible target. So a 2-target chrono or more.
The Doom has
needs
to be on the
comboed
Storm.
with Invoker, and Doom needs to be on
You say Storm or Enigma in this case?
maybe even Tide, just because he can't Kraken it off, so they know they're not going to get ravaged, and maybe they can play around the Enigma a bit more since he doesn't have a Blink Dagger. So I think if they can Doom the Tide, that's the best target at this point, because else he will always counter-initiate on them with the Blink. But it's really hard to find Universe. He will always be in a sneaky position and come out of nowhere with the Blink Dagger. So Navi definitely on the back foot here. You're looking at the net worth top 3 currently for EG, and that's with a Midas Void. He is still behind both Enigma, Razor,
Look
and
what he's building
Storm.
into as well. Like most Faceless Voids we've seen through the competition, I mean, looking for like early Mask of Madness, you try and find some extra damage with a Maelstrom, but this almost looks like a Necro book build coming out from Void.
It's a build I don't think I've seen since the Complexity days. They started playing that because the way Chronosphere works, Void as well as any units under Void's control can move freely in the Chronosphere, so that means Necro Book, Manta Style, etc. can be used in the Chrono. And maybe it's just a strategy from Navi. Okay, they're like, so what you talked about with the Quaswex build Invoker could have gone for, they want some sort of mana drain so that they can either drain all Tide's mana so he can't Ravage, or they can kill Wraith King without having to kill him twice. So I really love the Necro Book build here, especially since I don't think Havos needs to do massive physical damage in the early game. They have a Doom to deal damage, they have a Prophet, and the Invoker with great damage too. So later on, of course, he will be transforming into, transforming, whatever, into a more carry-oriented build, but I love seeing the book, if nothing else, for variety. It's something different.
Yeah, well, Navi like to do that, man. I'm also loving it, just to point it out, because I know we haven't touched on it really just yet, is the warning from EG. You take it all the tier 1 towers and you want to establish a nice perimeter on the front lines. They've got a really wonderful ward right now that sees up into the lane, down towards the camps. It's in a really good position. And then looking deeper into the Radiant jungle, you got this little sucker right here, and that sees down towards the tower. So anytime Navi try and move out on the southern part of the map, they will be spotted out here by EG. At the same time, Navi do the same thing up against EG. Observer wall between the tier 1, tier 2 tower, as well as inside the dire side jungle. So they're looking all over the map, each team trying to know what's happening in the enemy's jungle. At the same time, Navi keep losing map control, and this is like the wards only do half of it. Yeah, he's really close right now, but Puppey is also here, and they're watching him perfectly where he's moving, so Puppey can just glimpse him away. There's no problem with that one.
It's going to be the haste, though.
Yeah, but Doom is
He's
also
going to come
here.
for the Plasma.
Ah, Puppey's dead. Puppey is dead. Even if he threw the ulti out, and Razor gets the last, even though Mason actually jumps over the top of him. But they got chased down deeper. Oh, Funnick, he's TPing out this one right now. Has to turn and fight this one. Kuro, Hawkstomp, turns on the ulti, level dead, bonus damage on Mason. Kuro brings it down. The denial! He's got the denial from Arteezy. There's a double kill right now. Funnick, he's trying to bail out.
He's a pretty good player in my opinion. Oh, PPD.
Yeah, that's a good ulti from
the first live Ravage.
Enigma still got Black Hole as well, but Avor's already dead. So he's down the sidelines for that one. I love how Tour gave Arteezy a double kill for denying up his own teammate. Props to the system. But now Arteezy pushing out Dendi. The stun will come towards Puppey, but they're making sure there's no static storm and they can just force this tier 2 tower in the middle lane.
Yeah. The whole movement from EG so far in this game has been absolutely beautiful. They're outmaneuvering Navi. You see, they haven't even traded a tower yet. They've got... This is the 5th tower of the game that they claim. Navi hasn't been able to take a tier 1. And it's just EG's movement around the map that comes at such a good time that they've pushed out the other lanes. So when Navi realized EG had 5 heroes at the bottom lane, or 4, and they started pinging the top tower, it was already too late. So EG again coming out massively ahead here. PPD's going to take that last hit on the tower with his Wraith King, and now 5-0 on towers, 10,000 gold lead. It's going to be really difficult for Navi to come back with this. And I also don't think they've drafted necessarily a much better mid-late game lineup than EG has. It has to go super late before Navi takes over, in my opinion. So they've got a long road ahead of them. 600 net worth Disruptor as well.
I'm
He's one of the best heroes with low net worth.
I'm actually wondering if like this game goes 60 minutes, if it will be enough time, because you still got to take into account like the BKB timing is going to be dependent like what Tidehunter can do there. But you're looking at like an Enigma who's already like basically close to finishing up the BKB. Oh, nice courier snipe. That's going to be a point booster which they get rid of. So a nice little snipe out there by Funnick. And Havos is already just staring down Universe. It's a T1 tower with his name, and now Universe jumps in with the Anchor Smash, so Havos basically does literally no damage. But they're bringing in a lot more support towards the middle lane. The Necro Book level 1 being purchased up here by Denny, but it's not here for this engagement just yet. It's only the Havos one which is here.
Is there anything this guy can't do, right? Is there anything? Gets everything. Okay, so he's got those kills. He got the deny top, really clutch deny on Mason. Now he gets a really clutch deny on the tower. RTZ
He's got ag in him,
He had a
man,
little bit
too.
of a hard start. He got ganked twice, and now he's rolling with it. 114 CS, 2 and 2, so he picked up 2 kills, 2 denies. He's the 2 guy in this game, and like you said, a full axe with drums at 19 minutes. That's pretty damn good.
I'm not quite sure he's meant to keep up with it. I still can't believe that Enigma is still the highest net worth on the field. No matter how this game keeps going, Zai just keeps dragging in more and more money across the board. And now Void Chrono over on Mason. Puppy's going to be here as well. Doesn't have to throw out the ultimate. Just a level Death and Sunstrike was enough for it. But they do get the pick off here on the Storm Spirit. Very quick, very snipe out kill.
They need to turn this into something more. The problem for Navi in this game is that they haven't got a single collateral. No tower, no Roshan, just 5 kills and a bit of farm, but they're getting out-farmed anyway.
Voss is going to try and solo up this tier 1 tower with his Necro units.
It's really cool to see this, actually.
It's
There's the TP from Arteezy, so he's probably going to last to that as well. Yeah, why not? Bonus gold right there.
Yeah. He's got bottle charges, he's
There's
okay.
Cindy. But Navi can't really get this tower, that's the problem. They committed the Chronosphere already to killing Mason, so they don't want to fight into a top tier 1 when they know Universe has Blink Dagger and Ultimate ready again. What do you think about Prophet in this game? This was a trend that Bulldog started, getting the Blink Dagger so you can split push a lot better and play a lot more safe and be more mobile in the fights.
I like the build, I like the pickup. I don't like it up against the Storm Spirit. That's where you really hurt with this Blink Dagger kind of build, because you blink inside the trees and get yourself out. So most of the time it's meant to be for low maneuverable lineups. You just can't catch the Prophet all the time when he's doing split pushing. But Storm Spirit, if he has enough mana, he just keeps going and he catches him. So he's basically really low on mana here, Mason, but the Orchid's already gave his effect with the Gush coming in from Universe. You got really high maneuverable heroes here from EG, which makes this build with a Blink Dagger Prophet really, really susceptible to ganks.
That's true. I think Storm is already one of the best heroes against Prophet, and then when you go for the Blink Dagger build, you're investing 2,000 gold into a little bit of elusiveness that Storm doesn't care about. So, I'm not sure that was the good choice in this game. It used to work up against
things like Shadowblade, because then you actually have Invis to play, so if you didn't bring the dust, you wouldn't get yourself the kill. But after Shadowblade got nerfed, everyone tried to do the Blink Dagger, but Storm doesn't care when you can't hide from him.
This is just a clinical display from EG. It's very rare that you see a team ahead by 3 kills 21 minutes in that has a 12,000 gold lead. They've drained the map of resources. They're out-farming Navi on 3 heroes. They've taken 6 towers. And I imagine they're going to control the map until they feel comfortable going in, which will probably be with the next Roshan and maybe a little bit extra. Maybe they want to get a pipe at this point. Oh, they actually have it. Never mind. Universe has the pipe, so...
He spent a lot of money for that one. Funnick got to blink himself away right now. Away from PPD. The fortification, he's in the tree line, but he's visible because he attacked, so they could see him in there for the moment. Now PPD gets up high. Funny's just trying to finish off the tower. He can TP in 1 second time, and now he can go, but it's already too late. Try to sprout to protect himself, but death comes to the Nature's Prophet. The tier 1 tower at least did go down, and it was in favor of Nature's Prophet, so he got the catch for that, but he's on the sidelines for 34 seconds.
That was a good trade by Funnick, but the question is if he actually needed to stick around for that, or if, was it worth dying so that it didn't get denied, is the question?
Not really.
I don't think so either.
And it wasn't really his choice. If he didn't attack from inside the tree line, I don't think Wraith King would have got vision on him, so then it would have been...
Really decisive moment right now with both teams hanging around here. Navi are getting pushed in pretty hard in the bottom lane, so they must have a feeling that something is going on. There's the ping on Roshan by Kuroki, and as always in this game, EG are 1 step ahead. When Navi figure it out, it's already too late. They get the Aegis on the Storm Spirit. As we talked about yesterday in the series, one of the best Aegis carriers in the game. And even though that Necronomicon 3 is now done on Havost, I think the problem Navi are going to have going into a team fight now is that there's 2 heroes on EG with 2 lives, and they have the superior team fight, and they have a pipe. I could imagine EG trying to breach high ground really soon, and if Navi make one mistake in that fight, the game is pretty much over. That's how far behind they are.
It's going to get worse and worse and worse. When Mason's able to finish up a Bloodstone, if that is actually going to be a Refresher Orb instead of a Lincoln Sphere over on the Enigma, like, life's going to get so difficult for Navi. And Void Chrono, when maximum amount of people, is all that's going to really save him. And very luckily for Void, he's just jumping himself away from Arteezy. So getting a little bit closer towards the action. But we're 23 minutes in. Still more trouble coming in until Navi... Like, are they going to try and force the hand of EG here? Because taking a 5v5 fight doesn't really seem to be the best way of dealing with this.
The thing is, Navi is one of the best teams in the world at... when they're behind, they don't just they don't get contained in their base, because they know that's the one way to absolutely lose the game. If you're behind, you have to try to search for something yourself. You have to get out on the map, and maybe a pickup is going to open itself up to you. When the enemy team is trying to split farm, like EG are doing right now, maybe you can catch them off guard and get a couple of kills. If Navi just sit in their base and let EG control the map, they have lost the game in 10 minutes, no matter what. So they have to try to find something, but they didn't find anything. So EG kind of figures it out here and don't get caught out. And I want to mention something about Mason's build in this game, because it's not that common we see a Storm Spirit go for an Orchid and then after that go into the Bloodstone. But I think in this game it's really good. Mostly Storm Spirits will go Orchid into BKB, but he's up against the Chronosphere and he's up against Doom. So he wants to just be as hard to kill as possible and as necessary to kill as possible at the same time. Navi have to kill him or he's going to bring them down, and they have to bring him down twice because he has the Aegis and 1500 health and 9 armor. It's a very tanky hero with a lot of potential here from Mason. So
it's actually even harder to kill him once Zai actually gives him his Lincoln Sphere charge too. So Kuro getting
he
that
almost
Doombringer up on him
is the charts.
Yeah, I know,
14,000 net worth. He's actually out farming the Razor and Storm by about 2.5 to 3k gold.
This has to be like the fattest event we've seen in a very, very long time.
200 CS at 24 minutes in on a position 4 hero. That you see, that's what you generally get on a carry hero if you have free farm, and he's got it on the position 4. If you're giving EG Enigma, you need to be really careful. You need to have some sort of way of dealing with it. And Zai has not been countered at all this game. He's got completely free reign of his own jungle, of his rotations, and Navi haven't been able to find a solution. The draft in this game, I just haven't even seen it come into play. We haven't seen a single Chronosphere that wasn't on a single target. They haven't found a team fight.
Yeah. You're right, man. But EG aren't giving it to them. The second it's a team fight, you know they're going to... Like, EG will have the initiation because the Blink Tide, you got the follow-up from Enigma, you got all these different things which make it almost impossible to really fight. Now, Kuro, he can see the Storm Spirit, but they also just threw down a very fresh Observer Ward down there, so it's going to block up Kuro's camp as well, which is going to be slightly frustrating to him.
Because it's a really good ward,
easy money.
This one. Blocking as well as seeing in 2 directions here. It's a great coverage. Aggressive ward. And in EG's position, why wouldn't you ward aggressively? Also, this one up here is pretty unlikely to get counter-warded at this point. I don't think it's that obvious. And again, we're seeing Navi on the move if they can find anything. Is the question down the bottom lane is going to be Havost found out. He's dead.
Can't do it enough. And the second he backtracks, Mason just took a hell of a lot of damage then. But he knows too, the Bloodstones arrived, the Lincoln Spheres arrived, and a 4-staff's arrived for Universe. The Pacos coming all the way down the bottom lane. And, well, there's no one from Navi defending this bottom lane. No one's at home right now as EG enter the front door of Navi. And the TPs are going to come back. So Denny's arriving, Meteorite comes down, and there's the protection. It's the Lincoln Sphere over on Mason, so Doombringer can't do anything against him. And they've already got this tier 3 tower down to half-life. Mason, he's just trying to jump and evade, lets the creep wave come in. I think he was trying to keep the catapult alive more than anything else. The EG back up. They got themselves a kill on the Void. They got all their items up and they did some damage to the tier 3 tower. It's a win on any front, and they may as well even just wait for the next Roshan if they feel that passive.
Very rare that Navi has 5 kills in a 27-minute game. I just want to point that out. EG are not being caught out at all. They're reading the movement very well. They're playing just their A-game. This is some of the best Evil Geniuses play I've seen, which actually says a lot because they play really, really well. But just clinical display right here. And a comeback from Navi in this game would be absolutely insane. It's not just about the graphs and the lead, it's just the control EG has had in this game. It has to be getting to Navi mentally that they just have to be feeling helpless at this point. They're not finding anything, and EG has to be so comfortable knowing that no matter where they go, it just seems like everything turns out in their favor. And maybe now we're going to see the base push that I was waiting for. What did I say? It could be a 30-minute game if Navi didn't have a great team fight. We'll see if this team fight goes the way of EG, Navi's going to call GG.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Could be true in 30 minutes.
Like Puppy's sitting there with 1,500 net worth. He's got nothing in this game. Avos needs like the greatest ultimate he can possibly get now. He's got Zai and Mason right next to each other, but it's a bait because Universe is sitting right behind it, ready to blink over the Chrono. Now Chrono goes down. He starts on the Enigma. Does he go for the Ravage? Universe is holding on to it, and Zai, he's almost dead. The mech charge going. Now your Ravage will come in. They've already got the kill on Denny. The black hole with Goro and Avos. They are locked in position. The buyback comes out from Puppy, and Funny actually with some space. Avos, he's able to actually jump himself out. Kuro's going to get a stun. It's a 2-for-2 trade-off, and Mason, he's coming in, but the Static Storm. Mason, the attack is not enough. He's stuck too close towards the tower. A lot of damage, but he's got 10 Bloodstone charges, and the Aegis the Immortal. Mason fears no evil. The Aegis Aegis, it's so close to being reclaimed. It goes down 3 seconds away from it being reclaimed. Now, Kuro's here with Doom. They can go on him straight away. There's no Lincoln Sphere protection. The Hawk Stomp, and even using the commits and suicide. The Glimpse, however, dragging PPD back. Where's your time lock? There's your time lock. They get this on PPD. The ulti will go off. He'll come back up again. And Navi, they are actually claiming this fight. PPD trying to fight up against the Force. Time walk off cooldown 1 second. They don't need it, but maybe he will now. Jump it up, bash it out. The gem is lost as well. And Navi, they finally get something of an advantage against this Team EG while they were trying to push into the high ground.
I can't believe they won that fight.
I can't believe
How did they win that fight?
Well, Vorst got out on like a bee stick of life.
He got a Chronos here on 1 target, who still got a 2-man black hole off that lasted almost the entire duration. They got a Ravage on 3 heroes. Puppy bought back, which was the only buyback that Navi actually pulled out. And you can say on Puppy it doesn't really matter whether he has a net worth of 1,500 or 1,000. It's kind of the same story, but...
His the biggest thing was the fact that Mason he stuck around at the very last moment. It's like, oh, I'm going to bring down this tower and let the Aegis team on trigger, because that's what he wanted. He wanted full life as well as mana straight back again, or try and soak up at least one ability from Navi,
now
and then jump.
Here's what I was thinking Mason could have done in that fight, and correct me if I'm wrong on this. I don't think I've ever seen it before, so maybe that's why I didn't get the idea. If you have Aegis and you use your Bloodstone to suicide, do you respawn at the same point? Because he was out of mana and health. He could have killed himself willingly, respawn, and then go in and win the fight. Because the only reason EG lost that fight actually was that Mason was out of mana and he wasn't getting killed. Navi were like, oh, he's out of mana, great, ignore him. Kill all the others, don't kill the Storm so he comes back and can kill us. And he couldn't really do anything there. I think if you suicide with Bloodstone, you have Aegis, you do respawn there, but that's a really special mechanic that that's like 1 out of 10,000 games you would actually use that, but in this case it could have maybe won the game.
I will refrain from mechanics and we'll let the panel decide that one later on. Right now though, I just want to flag again Zai. This guy is getting fatter and fatter. Even if he dies with 236 CS, he is sitting at the highest net worth. He's still 5,000 5,000 net worth in front of Funnick, who at this point is the only man getting a large amount of farm. He's got 2.7k gold on him. He can actually almost finish up his Mjolnir, which will help out like monumentally by putting that shield over on a Vorst, because then they get the extra damage during the team fight. Now,
here we go.
They jump in and they actually got to be inside the BKB. Vorst comes himself back out again with his Necro unit. Zai jumps in, no black hole, 7 seconds on cooldown for him. Mason's in as well, but Koro, the BKB will trigger. Doom's still not off just yet. The Static Storm is out and they're looking for a place to fight, but Mahat's easy, still in the damage, 197 points, another 6 points taken. He's turning into a Vorst. They just pull out the damage. Malivus under Dendy. He doesn't have Vorst up available. Universe is on the other side of him. There's no mana for him. He just body blocks and lets EG take the fight. 3-0 on that one. The tier 2 tower still went down, but they got BKB charges out and EG take a very convincing engagement.
Yeah, this is what I think is going to happen in every single team fight if the Chrono is not more useful. In the previous fight, that's why I was really surprised Navi won that fight in the bottom lane, because to me that Chrono wasn't that useful, but if nothing else, it put a lot of pressure on EG. This one didn't put any pressure. They got out the BKB from Arteezy, but at that point he's got 2,500 health with his current item build, and he's got BKB, and Void's item build with this Necro 3 is really not that useful when the target's in BKB, so he can't get the mana burn damage out. So Navi were just like, okay, this Chrono's really not good, let's get out of here. And then they just get overrun by Enigma Malefice, Storm jumping in, a great Ravage from Universe, very timely again from him. This guy is a rock on this hero. They got
chased down. They got fully chased down. And when you commit like that, I don't think there was an option to pull out. I really don't. Because with the Blink Daggering of Enigma as well as Tidehunter, you know you're going to get caught unless everyone's got Blink Daggers and Force Staffs. You can't bail out of such an engagement. And of course knew it. Like he ran himself in there with his Necro units, got it off. He did 2 hits onto Arteezy and said, this is a really bad idea. I don't know if Puppy just screamed at him saying back or something along these lines, but They realized like mistakes were made once the BKB came up and they had to get out of there, but EG, great chase lineup, and they just picked him off.
And as a result of that, I don't think they can go high ground at this point, because EG's lineup is of course heavily built around their AoE ultimates. They've got a 50-second cooldown on Ravage that I think they're just going to wait for and secure the next Roshan first. So we see Navi scouting it out here with the Nature's Prophet. But you know, Navi's best chance in this game is actually to get a fight in the Roche Pit. They have a lineup that can contest EG in these narrow areas, but it has to come down to a really great Chrono from Havost. If that whiffs again, EG are just going to take the fight with their, you know, the problem is, even with a good Chrono, how are EG ever going to get all of their key heroes gone out?
You're in trouble,
there
Mason.
We go. That could be the opener for it.
Out this one with a Hawk Stomp. The Sunstrike won't connect, but Funny comes in. There's your extra damage.
No
They're going to
buyback.
pick off. He is down 40 seconds because of the Bloodstone charges though, so it's not as long on the sidelines. But Navi, do they consider trying to take out Roshan? Or do they just try and force another engagement here and push up the middle lane?
I don't think they have the damage. If they want to bring down Roche, they have to bring in Havost and use the Necro Book on it, and I don't think that's enough, and the bottom lane is kind of falling apart, so Funnick is going to port back and defend this, but good pickup for Navi. They buy themselves a bit of time once again, and will now spread across the map and get themselves some more farm. And we haven't talked too much about Doom's transition in this game. I said if Navi were to win this game, they have to go very late. Doom is one of the heroes who can actually, he's been played as position 4 in this game, and he's now starting to accumulate a lot of gold. He has a net worth of about 14,000. He's almost got a Shiva's God at this point. He's going to use Midas and get 1 or 2 creeps, and then he's got it. But yeah, the question is if that's going to be enough. Of course, we've got some with the BKBs coming out for EG. They have it on. Is that 3 out of 5 heroes have BKBs? So the Shiva's not really doing anything against that. A little bit, of course, but
unless he's trying to go for a scythe, like yeah, that might be the better option, man. That might be the better option.
I think just if Kuro doesn't get anything with armor, he's just going to fall apart to the Razor Ultimate draining his armor and just getting attacked down by pretty much everything. I think he had to go for a defensive item in this case, so I agree with the Shiva's choice, but Navi need more time, and that's still going to be the problem for me if they can buy that time at this point.
Funnick's going to have to be the space creator, really. We saw it with Admiral Bulldog yesterday, and we could see it again here from Funnick, but he'll have to be working a lot, like real overtime here. And he's trying to get into like his own side of the vice, so he can be the disabler, but this means like the split push power really isn't anywhere near as strong. But at the same time, he needs to be that disable. He needs to be that guy that comes into the fights and gets on the edge, throw out the damage on a hero who is hexed up, so there's no evasion helping him out, there's no BKB triggering off, and they just got like this chain stun straight away. But it's going to get really difficult, especially with Arteezy's next item. EG are rolling in the money.
Yeah, what did he just get? Oh, he got the ace. Oh my goodness, yeah. This is... I think it's go time for EG again. I'm not sure what else they would want at this point. Universe is
bottom racks, what they
getting
want.
Close. Okay, he's getting his Shivas now as well. So I think that's go time for EG. They have everything they need. They just need to gather up 5 heroes on the same lane. And this time I think they should be playing more aggressively with Mason. Force out the Doom on him. Since he has the Aegis, either get doomed or make sure you burn your entire mana pool trying to kill a target or 2, and then you can still use the Bloodstone Suicide. Just got a confirmation from BaseKip that it does in fact work the way I expected, so he will be able to pull off that play if he wants to. And
bottom lane.
Now, yep, here we go.
Yep, they're already going to enter
trying for
in.
the trade. I don't think they're going to be fast enough for this.
They're not fast enough. They tried to trigger the Prophet Ultimate, but the Prophet Ulti actually didn't hit the bottom lane. It got like 1 creep down there and that was all. But the Catapult's taking care of the tower. But Havost and Funnick are up here, and EG are backing up. Zai, there's your black hole to Havost, and there's no follow-up. They're controlling him, but there's no damage. Havost, BKB, leap and TP away to safety. They don't get anything. They have the black hole now on cooldown for a rather large period of time. And what was really the trade-off here? There was no damage towards the tower. You got the BKB on cooldown for a little bit longer for Havost, but with the black hole down, it kind of works as well.
I think Zai was expecting Mason to TP up there, but he doesn't have a TP scroll. He doesn't have Boots of Travel yet. He's running around with Treads, and his 6th slot has been taken up by the Aegis. I think at this point you sell the Soul Ring and get a TP, actually. I think it's more important for Mason right now. And never mind. It is a Scythe for Kuro instead of the Shiva's Guard, so... He does want to lock down the Storm.
I think he still realizes, like, he doesn't have to be the big guy on the front lines that just tanks it up. If he actually takes more damage, then that's going to be okay. I know Razor, like, if he steals the damage, that's not okay. But they needed this. They really needed this. It's mainly to go up against that Storm Spirit, because Silence won't really work. Puffy getting completely caught out. Mason just a quick jump up after Universe finds him inside the jungle.
Well, he's got his point booster now, so yeah, making some progress.
He also has Dendy's branch for some reason. He's just holding for Dendy.
It's like the good luck charm.
Top lane movement. There's his side device already coming in. That's from Funnick, but he's caught inside the trees. The Doom Ring will go off here right now. Funnick, he's going to actually cut his way out of here. Blink daggers himself up. Sunstrike, perfect position from Dendy. They got themselves a kill. The level death will come. And now that's a worthwhile trade. 78 seconds is how long Arteezy has put in the sidelines, which it nerfs EG's push now. They can't go high ground against this.
And it was a kill streak as well. Kuro grabbing 630 gold for that, and will just continue to farm up the Dire jungle here. EG will have an opening bottom lane, though. There's another big item coming out on Zai that I don't know if you saw yet, but it is pretty big and it is green. And in 70 seconds, he's going to have 2 of those holes that have a different color. So Yeah, we'll see if Navi can defend it. But for now, I'm actually really impressed with how long they're holding on. They're at a 20k deficit and 25k experience deficit, and they keep finding pickoffs before EG gather up and go for their siege. So if Navi can continue to do this for long enough, I think maybe Void is going to be a threat, but his damage still leaves a lot to be desired. He has the Necro Book only as damage item. He has the BKB. We're going to need some way bigger items to come out from Havost in the next 10 minutes, or... You see, the problem is, even if they pull off the fight very well, the amount of options that EG has now with the Refresher, with all these ultimates, and with the Aegis on Storm, they can take this fight in so many different ways. They just need to have 5 heroes in the same lane.
The only thing I feel is a problem, and this is speaking from experience of the T2CL final, when you run Enigma and Tide, it's really great when you get all of this control, but it can be just like the Black Hole up on the top lane. Unless the damage is there, the Ravage and the Black Hole, having 2 of both of them, doesn't matter at all if you're able to tank it all up. So if that mech is there, if you just have Scorched Earth up from Kuro or enough life points to survive it, you're gonna be okay. The Razor, as well as the Wraith King and Storm Spirit, these are the guys that really have to be in there dishing out the damage. And right now, Razor still takes a little bit more time before he brings up a high amount of damage.
Think we're gonna get what you want right now?
Yeah, maybe.
Four.
There's the Storm jump in. Hawkins over on Mason. Funnick, he's gonna fall with the Hex. They're gonna back up right now. Necro units have been triggered off by Dendi as well. The Prophet Element trying to keep this creep wave out. But if Navi tried to follow up that hill, it would have been an absolute disaster for them. And now Storm, long jump up, he goes for a boss, and Glimpse dragging Mason back and away from the fight. PPD being a little bit more spacious, and now her boss lets the Chrono go. The Meteorite's coming down, Deafening Blast, but a Ravage from Universe! The entire Navi lineup hit by it, and then there's Static Storm! Actually not making it easy for him, but they're inside the BKBs, they're okay. The Doom will actually tick it out while Funnick TP's in to ensure the kill. It's still a 2-for-1 at the moment, and they're just rampaging in EG. Diving under the tier 4 towers, 4 stopping in. There's a double buyback coming out from Navi. They will not want to let this Rice go, but all their ultimates are already used. Have also have to try and man-fight up against an Aghanim-scepted Razor, who's still got 224 points of damage done. Now it's going to wear off, but the bottom rank is toast, and EG will pull back. They got the buybacks, they got the racks, they got everything they were searching for.
Yeah, and that was even a good fight from Navi, I think. Well, maybe the opening of the fight was really unfortunate because they actually glimpsed the guy they hexed. Yeah. So that was really not good. But the Chrono from Havost, I think, was perfect. He got the 2 targets he needed. They brought down Enigma pretty low, then they doomed him. There was no Black Hole in that fight. And he's got 2 of them, and they still lost the fight. And considering Enigma is playing with a BKB and a Lincolns, it's great from Navi to completely lock him out of that fight, but it just isn't enough at this point. If that was an even game, or maybe a 5 or 10k deficit instead of a 20k one, perhaps Navi take that fight, but they're just at such a huge disadvantage here that a good fight is not enough. It has to be absolutely perfect. So just the initial misplay pretty much loses them the fight right away. That's how perfect they need to play right now.
Yeah. And it's a real hard ask of what's being asked of them, but EG, all they got to do is keep their nerve here as well. We know EG normally have day 1 jitters, but they're looking very, very stable. Very, very stable. I still want to give MVP right now, even though he didn't do anything during the last fight. Zai's presence throughout these entire engagements is still something to be very, very concerned about if you're a Navi fanboy.
It means that you have to lock down the Enigma so much that you have nothing going the way of Arteezy. He gets to play freely in the fights. He now has a heart as well, so 3,400 health and a cheese. How are you going to kill this guy without dooming him? You take down 2,500 of his health and then he just pops the cheese.
How do you kill him even if you don't doom him? That's a lot of life points for Funnick. You got some confidence.
Yeah, they might not even kill him if they doom him. That's true. There's still 26 armor. Yeah. There's a mech and a pipe. I don't know.
Even Void, because again, you're sitting with a Void who is now okay, he's finally going to build into something a little bit more faster attack speed, but you don't have a large portion of damage. It's only 140 per hit, and then you got to take into account everything else. But he's got Necrobook and BKB. You're not looking at Maelstrom. You're not looking at Mjolnir. You're not looking at Crystallis or something along these lines that's going to ensure you a high kill. What you've got is a large amount of control, but no mass amounts of damage to follow it up. So, yeah, Arteezy can be more than confident on this front line. He starts a Static Link, they leap themselves away, so that Static Link's going to be on cooldown for a while, as I'm hearing actually a Hex over on the side. Don't know where I'm hearing that from, but either way, that tower, yeah, look at Arteezy. He doesn't care. He's just taking up the entire thing. He knows the heart's going to regenerate him up, and he brings down the tower. No contest really being given by Navi. A little bit of trading of damage, but that is all.
Yeah, EG are going to wait until the next wave, and then I think they'll go again. Arteezy will be back up to full health at that point. If he feels like he needs the mana for whatever reason, he could use the Tears of All.
He jumps in, he's trying to go for PPD. They're burning off his mana. He doesn't have enough for an ultimate right now. Even with his 5-1 charges, they lock him in the tree line. The Sunstrike will kill off PPD. Actually got his one charges off in time, and now you black hole! Out from Zai, of all BKB. Refresher Orb has actually gone up with the Chrono. Mason's jumped up the top of it. EG, they have to sit and wait. Universe, but actually he's doomed up for the moment. Hence no Ravage coming out from him. But Mason has to get out of this base. Kuro back inside, but Arteezy 168 points of damage again being stolen, searching for the opening, and the Firestarter split. PPD, Mason, low on life. Universe, now the Ravage will come on a funning. Dendy being caught by it on the edge of the two, and Kuro, the Hawk Stomp, buys in space. Universe 4-staffed in. He's looking for some extra gacha. There's your second black hole onto a boss. He needs to backtrack more than this. Time Walk, he can leap himself away. Dendy's in close as well, has to go Invis. The wall up from Puppy, no ultimate still available for him, and they're actually inside the base. They still haven't brought down the racks just yet, and EG going to continuously fight here. But they've got enough damage now. They focus on the racks, they come for the objective-based gaming, and Navi looking to actually come back and fight this again. But it may be too late. The wall is up. They want some stragglers. Universe locked in to stay. Kuro being stunned up, trying to go for a own hook stop. The BKB from him will go. Another leap away by Avorce. Has to break that static link. Back into Zai. Time lock on him, but Avorce backtrack needs to help him. He actually jumped himself out before, so there was no escape mechanism for him this time around. The mid ranks is already gone, and EG, they've got one more ranks to do, and I don't see them backing up anytime soon. Storm, he's actually ulting halfway down the middle lane so we can rejoin the engagement. And now Universe, he's got Denny. A nice deafening blast, pushing back both the tide as well as the Enigma, but not easy. Turns on the heat, and this will almost be the call right now. And there it is, GG. EG will take game number 1, 24-13, as they just rampage inside the fountain of Navi. They are wanting to make sure that the Kings of LAN get schooled on day 1. Not day 2.
And as we said yesterday about IG, when their reaction to winning the game, when we were like, okay, it looks like IG just another day at the office. EG were like, okay. Just the look on their faces was like, okay, we got